right, I think we're ready to get started. And I'm going to start with some introductions. Today on the call, we have myself, Vanina. I lead marketing at Neon. We also have Davide, our Chief Commercial Officer, and Florian, who is Head of Product at Neon. Guys, would you like to introduce yourself briefly? Let's start with Davide.
Hello, sure. Thanks, Vanina. I'm glad to join this AMA. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer, so I'm mainly dealing with the commercial department, specifically with marketing activities and business activities at Neon.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Florian. So, we've been discussing a few times each other through Discord and different AMAs in the past. I'm a head of product. I run the product team alongside Yuri, who you might already know. And we're in charge of exploring the different use cases and applications that could benefit from the Neon tech, and in order to reach the Solana user base and liquidity.
Thank you so much, David and Florian. We're very excited to have you here. Our community has been excited about this roadmap and has been waiting for it for a long time. The reason for that is that we did pivot, and there has been a lot going on with Neon EVM. We started out as a mere layer 2. And we're not that anymore. We are a Solana network extension, which is a significant shift in our direction. We have been onboarding EVM developers to Solana for a long time now, and assisting them into achieving blockchain interoperability. We have been exploring the Solana native approach recently, which is another exciting thing that we're going to talk about later on in the roadmap. For those of you, though, who have not had a chance to see the roadmap on our blog, we're just quickly going to go through all of the different things that we have planned for this year. We have divided the roadmap into 4 bigger sections based on the quarters of the year. And each section we have named so that it reflects the stage at which we are and the majority of the activities. Of course, there are many different things that are happening simultaneously. A lot of things are kind of going and flowing from one quarter to another. But, we've tried to keep it as structured as possible for the roadmap. And for the first quarter of the year, we are building the Solana Signature SDK, the version 1 of that SDK. We are advancing the Solana native approach. We launched that SDK, and we're also refining the developer journey. We want to set the stage for a seamless experience and make sure that developers have a really easy, pleasurable, and enjoyable time deploying on Solana. The second stage of the year we have called the Catalyst stage. We're doubling down on that developer adoption, improving that developer journey even more, and also on community building. We are going to be working on enhanced tooling, a second version of the Solana Signature SDK. We're going to introduce on-chain libraries, optimize fee calculations. We're also going to launch the Neon Developer Bootcamp, which is very exciting, and wrap up the points program that we have had running for a while now. In the third part of the year, the acceleration stage, we are going to work on composability, and we're going to move from core to extended composability. We'll continue pushing the technical limits of scaling Neons to more builders, enriching the Solana ecosystem, adding more use cases to it, and solving the 64 account limit that Solana has. We're going to touch on that a little bit more throughout the conversation. In the last phase of the year, the expansion phase, we'll focus on scaling Neon EVM, and we'll continue improving our infrastructure, our presence at events and conferences within the industry. We're going to work on hackathons as well. And overall, the general direction in that expansion phase will be making Neon the gateway for EVM DApps to tap into Solana. And with this said, we can move on to the AMA section of today's call. We have collected questions from our community. If you haven't been able to submit a question, make sure to join our Discord and our Telegram channels, where we usually post the forms to collect the questions in advance. This allows us to have a more structured approach to these calls, and this allows us to answer more questions than we would with live questions. This is why we do it the way we do it. And these are the questions that we received. Let's move on to them. The first question that we got was, how does the updated roadmap address the growth of the Neon EVM ecosystem? What partners are already using your new features, and who are you targeting? Davide, would you like to take this question?
Thank you, Vanina, and thank you for recapping the 4 phases in the slide. So regarding this specific question, let me say that the updated roadmap is very dev-oriented and dev-focused, because this is part of our nature. We are an infrastructure, we are a B2B2C player, and we are heavily focused on building innovations that empower developers to build the EVM architecture that they want, even on Solana, something that, of course, without Neon would not be possible. And the developer user base is our first niche, our first user base to unlock the growth. Let me also say that the roadmap is very focused on the Solana entity features, and those features are particularly needed in order to position Neon in the place where it be, because we want to leverage Solana as an infrastructure, but also Solana as a network with existing traction. So we want to provide a unique selling proposition that no one in the space can offer. And this is literally something that everything in the roadmap that we presented is fully focused on removing those barriers and simplifying the developer onboarding. And let me add also that this is the roadmap that we defined has a clear differentiation point even against the general EVM layer 1 and layer 2 landscape, because many of the layers are fighting to onboard the same teams, but also the same type of primitives. Often we see that a new layer network that is bootstrapping, they are onboarding the forks of existing primitives. But I want to make clear that on Neon, we have a different competitive advantage, because in Neon, we need to focus more on real EVM innovations, because Solana is a world that has already an untapped potential, but at the same time, there are already some primitives that exist there. So when we talk about our target partners and potential leads, we are very focused on onboarding quality teams that are building efficient primitives, efficient in the EVM space as well as on the Solana side, and they can find product market fit on Solana because of the underlying infrastructure and because even the audience is different from the EVM side. So this is exactly our focus in terms of verticals, and this can be just an example. It can be referred to lending models, because in Ethereum, in the VM space, we have several lending models, while in Solana, there are just a few. And every tier 1 protocol in EVM that was able to find its own niche and design the product around specific features. Well, some of these features does not exist yet in Solana, and that's our mission. And similarly, when we talk about other primitives, like when we talk about DEXs, it's very easy to find networks that are bootstrapping Uniswap V2-like models based on the constant factors. But in this case, that model would not work on Solana. So when we talk about the business part, the B2B aspect, we are targeting applications that are bringing a novelty here, and specifically a real innovation in comparison to the Solana existing primitives. Just to answer to the second part of your question, still about the partners, let me also expand that the Solana native features are mainly divided into two components. We have the SDK. The SDK allows EVM applications to deploy on Neon and let Solana users to use their Solana wallet and also Sol as a gas token to interact with that application. Well, this SDK is already in an integration phase with a primitive that was already previously deployed on Neon, targeting the EVM world, but now is also expanding to the Solana one. And in the next very few days, we are also going to release a demo, for example, to showcase how it's possible to integrate the SDK into a general DEX. On the other side, when we talk about the composability is the second part of this Solana native feature product suite. We are building practical demos to showcase from developer perspective, but also from a retail perspective, how this development and integration it works. And we are specifically focusing on a couple of case studies. For example, the flash loan case study, in this case, borrowing from a lending market that can be on Neon in order to interact and use this capital and liquidity on Solana, for example, for a swap on Orca, on Radium. And that's a case study that can unlock several different projects and applications. As well as we are also working to unlock a composability case using specifically Launchpad. Because on the Launchpad side, if you check the latest news, it's clear that now there is some movement between Radium launching a Launchpad and at the same time Pump.Fun launching its own DEX. And at the same time, on the EVM side too, on Base specifically, but even in other ecosystems, there are Launchpad that are built with some novelty and some differentiation points. So what we want to unlock is the possibility for an EVM Launchpad to deploy on Neon, but then to launch pools for graduated tokens directly on Solana, on Radium, or on Orca. And this should be done by removing any barriers and providing a clear example that can be also replicated by other developers when approaching Neon for this deployment.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Davide. I don't know if our listeners noticed you spilling alpha about the demos that people can expect from us. So yeah, we have a lot in the pipeline. Stay tuned. And just to recap, for those of you joining us now, Neon EVM is basically the missing link between Ethereum and Solana, allowing developers to get the best of both worlds, eliminating the most complex technical hurdles that they have. And speaking of that, let's move on to the next question. And it is the question about the 64 account limit. You state that you will solve some issues this year, like the 64 account limit, but what benefits will this bring to the users? Florian, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Vanina. So I mean, yeah, this is a very important question, because the 64 account limitation is a well-known constraint in Solana. It has been designed by the Solana team to ensure that the chain will remain performant, and to ensure that it can provide a high throughput all the time. And simply put, this restriction for Neon was always, I mean, for Neon and for many other protocols on the Solana side too, was always a natural limit for complex transactions to be executed on the chain, and especially when on our side we need to translate EVM transactions. So, along the years, Solana wanted always to increase this limit, but there are a lot of different side effects related to it. And on our side, we found a way to completely remove it. And by removing this limitation, we will be able to be compatible with a broader range of EVM protocols, and we would allow the creation of complex and heavy EVM transactions for a broad range of protocols, like on the DeFi space, for instance, where we do see a lot of complex transactions that require multiple operations at the same time, like flash loans, and then you do a swap, and then you repay some debt. So everything around that side, for instance, is very complex and generates a lot of complex transactions. And by removing this type of strong limitation on the Solana side, we would be able to unlock these kind of possibilities for EVM protocols. And down the road, we hope that this will give our users more flexibility and expanded possibilities when it comes to using the different protocols we have on the Neon ecosystem. Regarding the technical aspect itself, the technical solution, so because it's something that has never been done before, and our core team will have to create and deploy a very deep technical solution around that. We will first release a first level of solution, and then, as everyone in the space and for core activities like this, we will always improve and iterate over it. So it will not be a single deployment and boom, that's it. It will be a first deployment and then iterations to increase the possibilities around that. But we're really excited about this improvement, because it's a long time limitation that we can finally remove on our side.
Thank you so much for that, Florian. In a way, we are reinventing the wheel almost every day in the blockchain industry. So much has never been solved before for so many issues that we face every day with development and the technology. There is no known answer. You can't go on Quora or Stack Overflow and find the answer. So I feel that what we're doing is very significant to building this new decentralized internet. I'm very proud to be part of the team solving so many complex issues. And that's amazing. But now let's move on to the next question. And that is a question about fees. Fees are expensive, says the community member who asked us this question. Do you think you can get somewhere closer to Solana fees? I'm going to direct this question again to Florian.
Yeah, sure. Let's maybe display it also on the screen. Maybe I don't see it myself, but it's completely fine. Perfect. So yeah, I mean that's a very great question. And I know we've been discussing a lot these issues and communicating a lot around the gas fees on Neon, which for the community and for everyone, all the users in the ecosystem, it's a very important question. So yeah, it's important to understand that there are several cases when it comes to Neon gas fees. So let me break it down first. And hopefully this will help also understanding that where are the improvements that we're currently working on, and where do we stand overall regarding these cost. So let's say you're a Neon user who has already swapped tokens on a Neon DEX at least once. And at the same time, let's say that the network activity on Solana is normal. There is no craziness around the state of the network. Everything is normal. All the transactions that you will perform on Neon, on the Neon ecosystem with these conditions, will have gas costs that are very close to Solana gas prices. There is only like very minimal difference at the gas cost with these conditions. Now there are other cases, and let's say you perform a transaction for the first time on the Neon ecosystem, and you never did a swap before. Let's say you USDC, USDT swap, right? The account creation, every time you do for the first time this transaction, and because of the Solana design under it, the first transaction will always be more expensive. And now, we know that the first transaction on Neon is even more expensive than the first transaction on Solana, and we try to reduce that aspect. So we're actively working on optimizing, let's say, the cost on that side. It's very technical. I will not enter into the details, but it's related to account creation on Solana. So that's the first point. Then we have a user experience issue, and that we already communicated about it a few times. When you do a transaction on the DEX or any kind of application on Neon, you have your MetaMask wallet presenting some estimates of the gas cost. So far, we had a very big delta between the gas estimates that were displayed on the screen and the actual on-chain cost that you would pay after the transaction is correctly executed. Our goal is to reduce and optimize to the minimum this delta between what is displayed and what you really pay. And on the other side, there's a bigger topic around the gas cost. So sorry, just to go back on the MetaMask part, right? The gas estimates, we already have released a couple of improvements, and the delta is already minimum. Now, on the other side, and during periods of high Solana activity, like we had over the last couple of months with the meme coins, for instance, there is an intense competition regarding transaction execution on the Solana network. And for that, there is a thing called priority fees on Solana that increase by a lot. Under such conditions, and because we are in between the EVM gas fee model and the Solana model, Neon gas fees can become higher due to these key differences between the EVM world and the Solana world, and how both worlds handle gas fees and priority fees. To make it simple, it's two different models. We identified a solution to finally move from one model to be closer from the Solana model in terms of gas fees, and we plan to roll it out in the coming weeks. So hopefully, when we will have a lot of activity on Solana and a lot of meme coin craze like usual, we see a normal gas price on Neon too.
That is amazing, and definitely a lot to look forward to. Thank you so much, Florian. Let's move on to our next question, and that's the question about the Neon Points program. We have had this program running for a while now, and our community would like to know if there are any updates on the end date. Davide, would you like to take this one?
Yes, sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you everyone that participated in the Points program. The Points program reached a lot of engagement, user engagement, and the transaction on the Neon side are still at dozens of thousands per day, showing still a lot of activity at Neon EVM network level. Regarding the end of the season 1, we are on track to close it by the mentioned timeline, specifically referring to early Q2 as the targeted date to end the current season.
All right. So yes, stay tuned about that. Follow us on social to make sure you don't miss the announcement about this. And now moving on with the next question. With this pivot to Solana extension, what is the main goal of the Neon ecosystem? Do you have support from Solana in terms of establishing new categories? I'm going to direct this again to Davide.
Yeah, thank you for this question. So when we refer to the Solana network extension, previously I already mentioned why we introduced the category and why we believe this is the right niche for us. But I can definitely say that Solana has supported us in launching the category. In terms of amplification, so social media amplification, but also in terms of designing the criteria and the definition, and there were also some public conversations from notable Solana members brainstorming about the definition of network extension. Today, what we can say is that on social media, for example, you can find several names that are already using a network extension. When I say names, I'm mainly referring to projects, infrastructure projects or DR projects that are using the definition of network extension in their Twitter bio, for example. And it's used not only in Solana, specifically in Solana, but also I saw some projects outside Solana implementing this network extension category. So from my perspective today, I agree that there is less discussion about the network extension, but the discussion that happened in end of Q3, early Q4 was mainly related to setting that definition up. And now that the definition is widely accepted and used, and the concept of network extension looks pretty clear to some people in the ecosystem, that actual debate is now less relevant and is not as mainstream as at that time. But it doesn't mean that the category is not used. Actually, it's still pursued by us specifically, as well as by other people that we also mentioned when we launched the category. We referred to some projects and they are still using network extension in their definition.
Amazing. We are being trailblazers with this, setting up the standards and coining new terms. I'm going to move on to the next question. Ooh, we're here to answer the big questions today. Does the team plan to launch a DAO, or are there reasons to postpone this initiative? Florian, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big question, and we've been communicating about it already. But to make it simple, and as previously stated, everything is technically ready to launch the DAO. But we made a decision to not push the button while we still need to first, we had to stabilize the network over the previous months, of course, and then release these new features, including the Solana native features that we've been presenting before. And, all this set of improvements that we're planning to release over the coming months and quarters are as presented by Vanina on the roadmap, require flexibility on our side to be agile and to be able to ship fast these features. If we implement and launch the DAO, these would, let's say, reduce our flexibility by a lot, because every improvement, every release at the Neon EVM level, or even maybe at the proxy level, etc., would require a full process, a full on-chain governance process under it. So far, the decision has been to, let's say, push the biggest part of the work, technical work first, and then once we reach a certain point, stability and all the features we've planned are executed, let's say that we will consider also pushing the button to make the DAO a reality.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, I feel that a lot of projects recently have been launching governance for the sake of launching governance, rather than choosing the best moment to do that and considering the best interest of their shareholders and their communities. So I definitely appreciate the fact that we are making a strategic decision to postpone this. And I'm going to move on to the next question now. Ooh, bootcamp question. Love that. When are you planning to start the developer bootcamp and what we can expect from it? Davide, this one is for you.
Yeah, thank you for this great question. Happy to give more alpha again about the developer bootcamp. Specifically, we are designing this bootcamp to start already in early Q2, so it should be pretty soon in terms of announcement. And I can anticipate that the structure of this bootcamp is to have a series of different episodes. At the moment, we are thinking about approximately 10 titles that can be delivered to the public. And in each episode, our amazing Devrel Daria is going to focus on specific development activities. So we want to start from the basics, how to build basic stuff on Neon, and then start integrating also the Solana aspects. So it's not a standalone, isolated bootcamp that is only referring to Neon, but it's directly referring to Solana, leveraging Neon in terms of technology, tooling, and before also we mentioned in the 4 bullet points of the roadmap, the on-chain libraries, which is a very important tool to abstract the complexities of Solana for EVM developers. So this is a very crucial tool for even the bootcamp that we are going to design. And yeah, this bootcamp is mainly designed for people that already have some basic infrastructure and knowledge about the EVM infrastructure, but they want also to tap into Solana, and they do want to start from scratch learning the Solana let's say code base and best practices. So our goal is to onboard native developers on Neon, and at the same time this is a parallel activity to the other activities that we have. In terms of events, for example, we are going to attend for sure CC in Cannes, as well as for late of the year, we have the plan to include events like the Solana Breakpoint, of course, and even DevCon. So this bootcamp is just one activity tailored to developers, but in parallel with other types of outreaches, and in addition to the B2B conversations that we are already having with professional teams that are looking at Solana, but they are coming from an EVM background.
Awesome. And since we're spilling alpha today, maybe we can share with the community that we are currently working to make the first edition of the Developer Bootcamp extra special. So that first cohort of people that are going to graduate this Developer Bootcamp can look forward to some special surprises from the Neon team. And now we're going to move on to the next question. When will there be permission for proxy deploy for operators among the community? Right now, this is not possible and is done only through a whitelist. Another big question. Florian, would you like to answer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's also an important question, and it is related to, let's say, the level of decentralization of Neon. So as you know, we do have this whitelist in place for proxy operators. It is mainly due to security reasons, and we are already working. These two operators are among the best operators in the space. They are P2P and Everstake, and as stated before, we plan to decentralize even more the let's say the proxy part, which is at the heart of our architecture. This is a critical operation that requires a lot of preparation and planification. And as for the DAO, it is also a matter of when is the right time to do it. As I explained, same reasons for the DAO. We do have a set of key core changes at the technical level to deploy new features, new implementations, and it's much more easier to deploy improvements at the proxy level when you have to share those improvements with 2 actors like P2P and Everstake than, let's say, 100, right? So we keep this whitelist in place for a while. It's not technically difficult on our side to remove it. It's just, again, a matter of when is the right time to do it. It will go alongside, scaling the whole traction and let's say the user base on Neon. And the more users, the more also appealing we are for operators, and the more healthy the economics around the token mechanisms are also in line with this need. So yeah, a matter of when. We will communicate to the community when we are ready, and stay tuned, simply put.
Amazing. We have a few more questions left, so let's move on to, if you create Solana native, will the network be available in EVM wallets, or all funds should be moved to Solana wallets? A very practical question. I'm going to ask Davide to answer it.
Yeah, thanks, Vanina. Definitely a very practical question, especially for users. And I can say that we have 2 models as of now: the Solana native model as well as the hybrid model. In the hybrid model, we are the EVM users can still access the applications, because the applications that are deployed on Neon EVM are using MetaMask as an entry point. And those applications in the hybrid system are interacting with Solana, underlining, again, using, for example, the composability to access DEX liquidities or specific tokens. And this will not affect at all the user experience for existing EVM users. So they can continue maintaining their funds on the wallet that they are using, and those applications will continue providing this service. The Solana native approach, and specifically with the SDK, which is the technical component that those applications have to integrate, this is a way for them to amplify their audience, not only targeting users coming from the EVM space, but also the ones that are Solana users, specifically using already Phantom or Backpack or other wallets. So this is not affecting the user experience of existing users, but on the other side, it's an opportunity for those applications to expand their potential user base.
Awesome. Thank you, Davide. Let's see what else we have for today. Is there any plans for the ambassadorship program mentioned earlier? I'll take that one. For a bit of change of pace. We have mentioned the ambassador program during our last town hall, I believe, or one of the last town halls that we had on our Discord. We talked about the ambassador program briefly. This is still very much work in progress. We're not ready to announce the ambassador program, but the one thing that I can share with our community is that we are working on a program that will be very focused, very in-depth, created, and not just another pay-to-play program. That's not the end goal here. We want to cultivate actual, real, loyal Neon ambassadors. We already have a lot of those in the community. So in a way, this program would be a way to get them more involved and to get more people like them involved. So as soon as we're ready with more information about the program, we're going to share it with the community. And the next question that we have, it's cool that you're building a lot of stuff for Solana, but how are regular users benefiting from this? That's another great question, and I think I'm going to take that one as well. Davide already touched on this earlier in this conversation. We talked about us being a B2B2C type of company. Right now, the focus that we have is developers and companies that have an Ethereum or EVM dApp, for example, and want to fast track it to Solana. So this is where we're putting all of our energy and all of our effort right now. But at the end of the day, if you take a step back and look at the bigger pictures, the more dApps there are on Solana for consumers to use, the more healthy competition there is on Solana, the more people are attracted to the chain, and the more economic incentives there are for people to join, because that healthy competition creates more economic opportunities for both the dApps and the users. So in a way, when you look about, again, look at the bigger picture, we're not just building to have a business or to, like, I don't know, get paid at the end of the month. We're building to create a whole and sustain a whole ecosystem that will withstand the test of time, and that will help us onboard the next billion people to crypto. Because it's no secret to anyone that Solana is a network that is onboarding right now, and we're just making it possible for even more developers to join Solana and make sure that they tap into that liquidity, tap into that user base, and offer those users more opportunities and more choice. And I think that this is a really, really good point to wrap up today's AMA. I would like to note that it's amazing how involved our community is. If you look at the depth of the questions that we are receiving, I think we should consider ourselves lucky to have such an engaged community, and we truly appreciate our community members. If you have more questions, if there's anything that remained unanswered, please connect with us. Here's the QR code to a link tree where you can connect with us on multiple different channels. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter, join our Discord. We do have a builders chat on Telegram. We do have a general community on Telegram. Make sure to join, say hello, invite your friends, and follow everything that is happening with Neon EVM, because what you just saw on the roadmap is a tiny fraction of everything that is about to come, all of the announcements, all of the activities that we have planned for the year. There's a lot coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It has been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot,
Vanina,
everyone.
and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vanina. Yeah, thank you, Davide. And let's say if you have any question, feel also free to reach out, as Vanina mentioned, directly on Discord. We will try to be there from time to time. Our amazing team of community managers are available. And if you have any question, feel free to jump. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.